Hi there, and thank you for joining XRO, which is India's first AR/VR podcast. And today I'm really happy to have Mr. Nikhil Sawlani. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. So rather than me doing the introduction, why don't you take it from there and give a small introduction, and then we can get into the conversation.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Eddie. Thanks for inviting me on your podcast. I'm following it from a while. I am seeing your work in AR VR. I think from 2017 or 18 when you started the first AR VR conference, I was part of it,
Right.
fortunately. And from them, yeah, I was following you up with this podcast, your the work with XR Bazaar and all. So starting with my introduction, I'm right now tech lead at Arway. From past couple, I've been in AR from 2016, working mostly my career with startups, trying to create things which are out of the box, which amaze people. Uh, Through that journey, I joined Arway uh, and started creating the tools for other developers to create those experience which I was creating, right? Uh, and right now at Arway, I lead the engineering team. And also the computer vision. If you know, I'm a more of a tech guy who spends more of the time coding and building the things. So thanks again for inviting me.
Obviously, it's a pleasure to have you. And yes, we know each other for quite some time. You are part of the Immersion VR Fest. And whatever I've been doing from early 2016 is to kind of like build an ecosystem, because from then I saw that AR, VR, MR has got a huge potential. And back then, I believed that it could transform every industry verticals. And through 2016 till now, my belief has become more stronger, because from there till now there is now much more implementation, there is higher adoption, and I think it's that curve a point of time where the inflection point, as we all say, is that maybe in another few years, this, I mean, technology as a tool could actually replace your computer and your mobile phone. So I'm really excited about augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. But you stuck onto augmented reality. Could you share with my audience what was the reason that got you excited for augmented reality?
Yeah, so when I started back in 2016, right, there were I mean, first of all, there's a very anyone can start with AR very easily. They don't need extra hardware to build on. You just need your smartphone. So that was one of the point at that time when I was in my college, right? I didn't have the devices to even go into the VR. So AR was only the choice, and I was in a hackathon where I saw someone doing AR. They scanned the newspaper, and the news got alive, right? So from there, it was I got interested in, and it took at least 3 to 4 months for me to just find out, okay, these are the at least the tools. I mean, at that time there was no AR kit and AR core, right? I think only Vuforia, Catchar, couple of tools were there who were just doing the image tracking. The AR was limited to just image tracking and things on top of it. But as we move back from 2017, 18, AR kit and AR core came out, and from there the ecosystem is raising so fast, and we see every other day new tools, new use cases are coming out, right? So AR was the only when I started, AR was the only reason, but now I also looked into VR. That's also interesting. I have Oculus Quest where I have developed few apps, published a one. So now I'm more of a AR VR kind of guy, but I started with AR because yeah, I mean, whenever you see AR or someone sees AR, they are kind of amazed, right? Okay, how did it happen? So that I got interested.
Lovely. Yeah, yeah. So I guess all of these, I mean, whether it's AR, VR, MR, I think it's slowly converging. I think in maybe like possibly 10, 15 years, we'll have one single wearable device which will have all its capabilities, whether it's an AR, VR, or MR, it will have all the possible capabilities in one single wearable device. And yes, I think you are quite right. We already have devices which can build and create and you can have experiences on AR with our smartphones. So we already have those 2
Hmm.
billion AR devices, and you don't really need to get into those expensive VR headset and things like that. So talk to my audience about your entrepreneurial journey. When was AR based incepted, and what has been the challenges and the opportunities?
So before AR, I mean, building a lot of AR use cases. I mean, I participated in like 40 plus hackathons, and out of those 40 plus hackathons, I just built AR apps on all those 40 hackathons, right? And that too on a different use case. Someone was manufacturing, someone I was targeting education, someone I was targeting navigation, right? Someone was for industrial IoT AR. So out of those 40 hackathons experience, what I found out was one of the killer use case was the indoor navigation part, right? And after that hackathons experience, I started really creating a kind of a company or a software which can make it easy for anyone to just do this indoor navigation experience for their building and stuff. With we will providing tools for that. But with Arway, I joined Baran, my co-founder, through LinkedIn, and we kind of merged and started Arway as a new company back in 2018. And initially we were just doing same indoor navigation. We were pitching indoor navigation only as a use case, as a tool. But later in 2020 we were accepted in Techstars, which is one of the top accelerator in the world. There we pivoted our business model and our tool or SDK to a more of a tool which can not just build, which developers can use to build not just indoor navigation but other AR experience which needs persistent location or experience around location, right? So now from then to now, we are more of a developer tool company which provides you tool to build all this kind of AR apps with ease. What we have found out, this AR kit and AR core were not good enough to build an app. Developers need to do a lot in terms of building their own cloud infrastructure, building sample scenes, building a CMS. So what we have done is we have built all those this layers on top of AR kit and AR core, and developers just need our kit to build those awesome AR apps, right? So till now we have pivoted to this Arway, and since now we released our beta in last November, and we have now more than 1500 developers community in our Discord and 300 plus signups on our product, which people are using, developers are using, creating developer experience, AR experience.
The way you said it, I think I hope my audience kind of grabs it. And I mean, you have been persistent at your work. You know, you have taken part in some 40 plus hackathons, and you build numerous AR apps and experiences. And I guess that's the only way you kind of hone your skills and grow. You know, and you've been at it. You know, the first time I met you, I think was back in 2017, when you were just trying to put that AR navigation app together. You know, and then from there, now you said you pivoted to becoming a complete AR development platform. I think that's a incredible journey, and wish you the very best. And LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn was a social media platform. I think we must say that I think because of social media or internet, I think it's almost like a platform or a tool which is given anyone and everyone the opportunity to kind of uh, meet with like-minded people,
Yeah.
explore opportunities. You could be sitting in a rural area. So the reason I'm saying this is that, you know, because there are a lot of people who say that, oh, I don't have money, I don't have resources, I don't have this. I think only thing that you need is hard work. And I guess that's what you have proved. You know, 40 plus hackathons, you have honed your skills over the years, perfecting it, and pivoting from a navigation app to a AR development, looking at the opportunities. You know, and I guess that somehow has been my kind of roadmap also. I started as creating virtual reality content, and then I've pivoted, and now I'm creating an ecosystem. I have a B2B2C market, e-com marketplace for AR VR. And I guess the more time you spend in the ecosystem, you meet like-minded, and if you are at it honestly, you will find a way to kind of grow. So would you like to talk a little bit more about the app at this point in time? You also mentioned that your product is a better rather than an AR core and AR kit. So could you kind of talk about what makes AR Way kit unique, and what are your plus points?
Sure. So whenever a developers, start developing an AR app, right? He generally builds on top of ARKit and AR Core, but the features which are in AR Code Kit and AR Core are not enough. You really need some features like CMS, a cloud infrastructure to hold your content, AR content, which if every developer start developing the app, they won't focus on their core logic, their business logic, but on this infrastructure side. But what we have done with Arway is we have provided all these features on top of ARKit and AR Core, where you can just focus on your business logic or on your app logic, and we will handle all this for you. For this, we have dedicated tools, Web Studio, CMS, and mapping app, which make the process very easy, right? And that's what we are seeing with our developers, right? We have 20% plus developers, beginners, right? More than 20% of developers with joiners, they are just looking one of my YouTube tutorial which I made using Arway, and they just join and sign up, and they start creating the app. They find the process so easy with ARKit as compared to using native ARKit and AR Core. So it's the process of the ease and easiness to manage, build, and deploy, which ARKit brings to the developers. And so beginners, we see more beginners are attracted to us because it's very easy for them to get started and get into the ecosystem very easily. Uh, that's what the kit does.
Right, right. You said that there is an engagement that you're doing. You're building YouTube tutorials and things like that. I guess that's a very cool thing to engage developers. Could you, talk about some use cases or apps that has been built using ARway Kit?
Sure. So first of the we'll start with the use cases, which is mostly done by developer. One of the top use cases is indoor navigation. Most of the developers which comes to our kit, they tend to develop a navigational based apps, whether it's for outdoor or indoor, and experience around it. And few developers which we are working with, they are developing a gaming app with our kit, where you know the location of your next player, right? A gaming app in which you will know the location of each player. You can create some experience around it. And same, few of the developers are working for industrial IoT AR location app, where you need to attach a particular piece of information to a specific location. So these are all use cases, and there are a lot, more number of use cases which are done by developers. So the kit, it allows them to develop multiple use cases. It's not limiting them to any one use cases, but any use case which requires location persistent or AR or CMS, it can be done using our kit.
Right, right. You mentioned indoor navigation. You also mentioned industrial IoT. I think spatial computing is a big thing. I think in another couple of years, we will be sensorizing, I think, every physical products, creating digital twins so that they start serving us better and all those information. So would you like to kind of explain to my audience what spatial computing is and how excited you as a company for spatial computing?
Sure. So spatial computing is as you mentioned, like it's a digital twin of the world, and which is interactable, which is machine readable, right? So what we do is we provide tools to make the spatial computing happen, right? People talk about spatial computing, but what we do at Arvacate, we build those tools where a developer can make a digital twin and make that digital twin interactable with their smartphones, right? And then they can create this kind of use cases, whether it's industrial IoT, whether it's navigation, whether it's gaming, right? So spatial computing is something which is also the base layer of AR glasses. When we talk about AR glasses, spatial computing is needed by them to understand where they are, what they are seeing, right? So for all this to happen, developers really need tools, because developers can't do everything from scratch, right? And there Arvacate comes into the play. It really gives you the tools to make the spatial computing happen.
You mentioned about AR glasses. I think some of the biggest companies are currently working on building AR glasses. That's Apple, there's Facebook, there's North, there is Real Vuzix, there is in India, there are people, Geo is getting into it. There's so many other companies who are working on building AR glasses. In another 10 years, when this 5 or 10 years, when this completely matures, we will not need TVs. We will not need billboard walls, because wherever you look at, the entire world will be annotated. It'll be like a digital screen for you. So
Yeah.
that is very, very exciting. But what do you think has been the drawback for a real robust AR uh, classes to come into the market so far? What do you think has been the problems?
Yeah, so I think there are multiple problems why they are, I mean, still they are not up to the mark, or why they are so expensive and so bulky to wear that you really don't like to wear in public. I think it's multiple reasons. One is obviously the computing which is needed for spatial computing, the on-device processing which is needed, also the connectivity. And now we see the 5G is being rolling out in few areas, so that will eventually help to create the ecosystem. So one is the processing, other one is the computing, the third one is the design itself. People are trying now. If you see, uh, glasses are really going towards the design part, especially which people can wear in public. They don't want to. Uh, get embraced while wearing AR glasses in public. And fourth one is obviously privacy and security, right? Because when you are wearing an AR glasses which has cameras and sensors on top of it, it's always recording, right? So you need to make sure the crucial data or the personal data which you are scanning never leaves the device or cannot be used for some other purposes. So these are multiple points, but I think as we are progressing, every company is solving one of that point and coming with a new technology, a new way of solving that problem. And as we evolve, there will be one company who will lead all those and solve all those issues and give us a final mature product. And I think Apple and Google has a good chance there. But small companies, I mean, which we have also partnered with, we have partnered with few OEMs to provide our kit specialized for their AR glasses. They are also solving good enterprise use cases. So I think it's the whole ecosystem which will mature eventually with all tackling all these issues.
I know small companies who are building AR glasses. There are the small
Mm,
companies who are building VR glasses. Also mentioned that privacy is going to be a very big issue, and I guess that's the reason Google Glass had to stop when they started in the early
mm,
2000. So. But I'm sure that, like you mentioned, all these companies are individually trying to solve those problems and trying to figure out how we could create a glass which will create transformation for industries, enterprise, individuals. But overall, how has it been in India from your perspective as an AR startup? How good or bad is the ecosystem according to you when it comes to augmented reality, virtual reality, or immersive tech startups support here in India?
Yeah, so I think it's growing pretty well. Back in 2016, when I started, I used to go and pitch this AR prototypes to every during my hackathon experience to every enterprise from Honeywell to even governments, right? I used to pitch the small use cases of AR. I mean, that time they were seeing it for first time, right? But now, if we come to 2020, 2021, they have been into the ecosystem. They know what AR is, and now it is progressing. You can see, I mean, most of especially the enterprise, they are adopting AR in terms of AR product showcase. If you see, recently Tata Motors released their Safari in AR. OnePlus released their phone in AR. So they are adopting to the ecosystem of the AR, and especially after this pandemic, right? When you had no other choice of showcasing a product in live, so AR gives you a new way of, I mean, showing or showcasing a product which is just next in front of you. So I think the pandemic has also helped in adopting more of AR, especially in the product showcase, content showcase market.
Right?
But
Yeah.
it is eventually, I mean, growing a lot as compared to what it was in 2016. It has been exponentially growing now. People are adopting, and they are keen into AR. They know what AR is, and they know this is the future.
Right. Yeah. So in the pandemic, I saw a government school from Kerala, which was using augmented reality. And somehow you pointed out rightfully that because of COVID, all of these technologies are kind of accelerated. People are looking at it in the lens where they see that, oh, this is a technology which is going to chart out the future course of maybe healthcare, education, training, travel, and yeah, there are people such as Status Pari, one place who are now understanding the importance of leveraging this technology, and I hope to see more of these brands coming out and adopting this technology. One of the biggest game of AR game obviously has been Pokemon, but after Pokemon, that AR game, I haven't seen anything which as big as or as mass adopted as the Pokemon Go. Where do you think is the problem, and when do you think we will start seeing world scale spatial AR experiences or games, which is like
Yeah, so
anchored in the real worlds, where you go
yeah,
around and
real
you
world
can
location.
like yeah. So it's more of where spatial collaboration, where people can actually multiple people can see the same digital objects anchored into real life. So I'm excited about that. When do you think that something like that's going to happen?
Yeah, so I mean that's going to happen, and the only I mean why the reason it's not happening is the tech. The tech itself is not evolved. That if you see, there's a company called Ubiquity Six. They launched their app called Displayland, in which what you can do, you can scan a space and you can pinpoint to a 3D location. They invested a lot in that app, but eventually it didn't work out as it was expected, and the reason why it was not working out because the processing needed to create those digital twins to scan the area that was not good enough for all the phones which are supported. I mean, few phones, higher phones it can support, but not all the phones. So what I see is, I mean, there's always a demand, the use case is there. That technology itself is not that mature as of now to create those kind of experience for an individual. I mean, for a user. I mean, you can obviously spend thousands of dollars to create that experience, but that doesn't work until a user with a simple smartphone can use it or create his on his own, right? So I think once the tech get matures in the next couple of years, we have now seeing lidar being added in new iPhones that will eventually help for digital scanning very easily. Similarly, new tech has been coming in which you can just scan using a normal camera, but that's still evolving. And I think next couple of years or 3 4 years it will be more mature, and we'll see more of this experience created by normal users, which we are seeing right now with, let's say, 2D video platforms, right? 10 years ago it was very hard to create even a video when iPhone got released, right? And now we see the rise of TikTok or rise of any other platform in which any user can create a video and share a reel. But 10 years ago it was not possible because the tech itself was not there. So I think it's also the tech as well as the I mean the environment which gets mature with the time.
Right. Yeah. And tech, I think, is growing in exponential space. And it's leaving us far behind. We need to catch up with it. And yes, I'm like I mentioned, I'm really excited for these shared spatial experience. Because I'm excited for that world. But just imagine, like your education, everything could be transformed. You have these. You could be sitting at your home, but you'll feel that you're sitting with. Your students around the world, and you could anchor objects onto the
Hmm.
physical world. Just imagine maybe what could happen to these art galleries and things like that. So I'm super excited about that world, and I know that currently we have these technological drawbacks, but technology is growing in exponential space, and some of the top minds, including you guys, are trying to solve that problem, making the camera more intelligent. And I guess with artificial intelligence converging and growing, it's a matter of time where we will be able to create these world scale experiences. So coming back
Hmm.
to Arway, now if a developer or somebody who's fresh who wants to kind of start exploring and building content with Arway kit, is it Arway kit or is Arway kit? Because you've been mentioning Arway kit and I've been saying Arway kit. First, what is
Yeah.
that, and how does a developer start developing, and what's the pricing model on Arway or Arway?
Yeah, so it's I mean different countries. I mean even with co-founders pronounce it differently. So it's generally Arway kit.
Okay.
What how we commonly say it. So for a developer, what we have done is we have reduced the steps which he needs to do in terms of use the kit, because when we were in 2016, it was very hard to. I mean, even the tools were not there. But with our pricing model, we have made it freemium, so any developer can join, sign up, and start creating those experience for testing, right? And once he's satisfied with the kit, we have our pricing model which is based on uses. So according to the users of the app, or the APIs which he use for the app, we charge him. And what we have done also is we have made the process of getting into the SDK very easy by providing just the sample app which you can download onto the from the App Store and Play Store, which makes the process easy to understand the SDK. We see developers downloading the SDK, setting the build environment, and then building out. So that takes a lot of time. Instead of what we have done for our SDKs, we have provided a lot of tutorial video, audio, documents, as well as pre-built apps on App Store and Play Store, which will really shorten the life when a developer just sign ups and get into the ecosystem very easily, right? We have reduced the timeline, so that eventually helps developers to get started very easily. And that's why we have 20% or more of our developers who are just beginners. They are even new to the Unity AI, right? They just see this awesome tutorial and they just signs ups and then start creating the experience, right?
People are looking at new technology as a profession, whether it's immersive technology, whether it's artificial intelligence, data science. Yes, I mean, keep on doing what you're doing. So uh, are you guys bootstrapped, or are you guys funded at this point in time?
Yeah, so we are funded by Techstars and also few other angel investors, and we have also started our next round of seed funding from January. We are going for our next round because we want to ship the product with the vision quite quickly to the developers. That's why we are looking for some extra funding to develop and ship those experience to developers so they can create their awesome AR experience. Uh, and in terms of vision, we do have a lot of new things coming in future. We have integration with awesome AR headsets. We are looking forward to solving their tech stacks, especially the software tech stacks and the AR classes, because most of the AR classes, right, they just focus on hardware. Their software experience or the ecosystem of the software isn't that good as compared to hardware. And for AR classes, it's software and hardware need to match on same level. So what we are partnering with few of the OEMs to build their software stack for the AR headsets. So eventually the ecosystem on AR headsets is as matured as it's on the mobile AR. You see all your apps on AR headsets as well whenever you adopt it. Uh, Also your point of the pandemic, right? I mean, in this pandemic, when we got hit by COVID, right, everyone has a laptop or a phone, so they could have used Zoom, right? But everyone had like a VR or Oculus Quest, right? They would have preferred to do a VR conference or a VR meeting, right? It's only because of the tools aren't there, the hardware isn't there. That's why people opted Zoom, because everyone had this a phone or a laptop to just video conference. But if they had the VR headset, they might have done the VR conference, and we would have a new player of VR in the pandemic. It's only the ecosystem. Maybe after 5 years or 10 years.
I've been to various conferences, and when I speak to students or people, I realize that through the talk, I mean, they don't understand, when I kind of like give them like, okay, this is what the technology, this is what virtual reality is, and this is what it can do to various industries in the next few years, and this is how transformational it is. But unless and until they don't put the VR headset and experience it firsthand, they don't really know how potential this technology is. Yes, so you rightfully pointed out this if and only if those we had like AR headset or VR headset instead of these flat computers, then obviously we would have a kind of switch to that, because that is more experiential. You are breaking the barriers of your which you have been restricted for the last 100 years, and then you will be getting into the 3D world and experiencing things exactly like you interact with your physical objects. So yes, that is a super exciting space. But yes, we have current drawbacks where the price points are uh, not very conducive for for consumers to go for it. So yes, there are those various problems, but there are various people also, companies trying to tackle that, and trying to figure out and solve the problem. So to the ones who are developers, content creators, or entrepreneurs who are listening in, what would be your advice to them if they want to choose augmented reality, virtual reality, or immersive tech as a career?
Yeah, this as a career is quite good. I mean, in fact, if you want to go in engineering, even content creation, it's way good as compared to back in 2016 and 18, where people were experiencing first time. But now, as we see, every department or every big company has a special department for AR VR apps. We see people hiring AR VR engineer a lot. Facebook is hiring, I mean, 6,000 people. They hire same for every big tech company, right? So the ecosystem now has, I mean, it's grown. It's also exponentially growing. So if you enter at this moment of time, you will eventually be in that growth, be a part of that growth. And whatever you do, even if it's engineering or it's content creation or even it's a UI UX for AR, because that's very crucial when you do AR. UI UX is one of the crucial part. So whatever part of the AR VR ecosystem you choose, it's suddenly growing at a pace. So eventually you will be the part of growth if you join now. It's not like 2016 or 17 where the tools itself are not there. There are now hundreds of companies like us which are developing tools as well as the ecosystem. So now is the right time when anyone wants to get into it.
What's the future vision for Arway? And paint a picture to my audience what the world is going to look like in the next 5 and 10 years when augmented reality starts maturing.
Yeah, so the future for Arway is to make AR or spatial computing happen. And when you tell about spatial computing, AR plays a major part of it. So we want to build those tools where every developers just use this easy tool to develop their experience and build it for hundreds of or thousands of users, right? So that's why we are heading. We wanted to develop those tools which make the spatial computing happen, because as we see, in next couple of or 3 to 5 years, AR glasses are already there, but they are about to come for the general users. And first thing which they will need is the content, right? Is the software, is not the hardware. But when a user buys a hardware, he needs to use it for any apps, right? So what we are doing, we are creating that ecosystem. And whenever AR hardware is matured, developer can use our tools to build AR apps for that ecosystem or the AR hardware set. So eventually the software and hardware comes at the same time and gives the best experience to the user, where they will just wear the AR headset and walk around to use it for all their purpose which they use it right now for. I mean, when they use their mobile for now, but in 5 to 10 years, it will be replaced by AR headset, and we are there to build a tool which will eventually help the software part of it to happen.
Thank you, Nikhil. It was a pleasure talking to you. And you said it right. I think what some of the biggest companies are building these AR glasses. And you name it, everybody's in the run. Right from Apple, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Sony, Samsung, and even some of the smallest players. Which glasses? Geo. I mean, how could I forget Geo? Geo is also in the run. And some of the smaller players also, and which glasses goes the mass adopted. I mean, it's anybody's guess. And I wish that more than the big guys, I hope some of the small guys comes and creates a unique proposition, or a really robust glasses which compels people to wear it full day, because not everybody wears glasses. Now glasses is also something. So how would that narrative play out is I think is going to be one of the most important thing, because we keep on talking about going to a world where a computer and a phone will converge into one single wearable device. But why would someone wear a glasses full day is a narrative which needs to be built out, which becomes so compelling that you know then I think that the world gets interesting. And you also mentioned that in that world, when we have glasses which needs to be worn full day because it's
Hmm.
super compelling, you'd require content. And not many people are understanding that the biggest business opportunity is in content creation. And all those new content creation creators, startups, studios, I mean, I would like to tell them that we are getting into a world where we're breaking out from the 2D barrier and we're getting into the 3D world, and it's going to be a huge opportunity. It's not just about the financial the opportunity over there. It's the exploratory opportunity for a content creator to create content which is immersive, experiential, and create a product, a solution, experiences which creates or transform mankind. So I'm excited for that, and I hope that somebody kind of picks up and becomes that startup that looks at the opportunity and starts building content, and you are the platform that maybe they will go to. So wish you the very best. And to my listeners, if you like what you see and hear, please press the subscribe button. And until next time, see you guys. Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you, Nikhil.
Bye. Bye.